Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Inkwell Gamers podcast. So today we are going to cover a couple things. We're going to go over our first two tournaments of set championships, and towards the end we're going to do a little bit of the starter deck review with the Sapphire-Steel starter deck. Dana, do you want to talk about your experience with the set championships first, or at least the one that we did on Saturday?
Sure. So Saturday we went to a local one that had, 25 people, 25, somewhere between there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So not too bad, not too small, not too big. And I top forward.
Very nice. You did. You were crushing it.
Yeah, I think I was starting to feel it towards the end, a little bit of mental fatigue, and in my last round, top 4 round, I was so close to at least securing a mat, and I was just making stupid mistakes. Like one in particular, like I made a trade into something where like my character traded with theirs when I could have gotten rid of a higher questing character of theirs, but not lose mine. Like stupid mistakes like that I know I would not normally do, but I think the length of it just got to me, and I was just mentally gone and just autopiloting. I don't know.
Yeah, the 7th round of the day can be pretty exhausting. So, what deck did you play?
I played a spicy deck. I played Emerald Ruby, aggro, bringing back Curse Merfolk, the Emerald Flynn, that quest for 2 with the discard, the Ruby 2-drop Flynn, Sisu, Prince Eric. I'm blanking on my others. Medusa, Maui. Has some Brawl in there, Diablos.
Tinkerbell.
Yeah, thank you. Tinkerbell, Pegasus, both of them.
2-cost Ursulas.
Yes. And for Saturday, I had Wildcat in there. And I did take that out for Sunday, which I can get to. But basically just going as quickly as possible. And I think part of it was that people weren't anticipating seeing that kind of deck, so they almost didn't know how to play around it. But yeah, it didn't do too bad, and it took me to top 4. So pretty good.
Yeah, we were talking about it before, and I thought the deck looked pretty sick myself, but you have locked down on the Emerald cards, so I did not get a chance to play it, but that's okay. You did really well with it. I was really proud.
Thank you.
And yeah, you just crushed the first 6 rounds of the tournament.
Yeah, thank you.
So that was awesome.
I didn't see, surprisingly, I wasn't sure how this was going to fare against Steel Emerald, which is the most popular deck from what we saw in the results of day 2 for Fort Worth. Pretty much 50% of the people that made a top 64 were playing Emerald Steel. So I thought I was going to see a lot of that. I only played against it one time and did go to game 3. He did get Bucky in the first game, and so it ended quite quickly. However, he didn't really get it in his opening hand for game 2 and 3, and so I just went away with it very quickly. But also trying to think of what else. It didn't do too bad against Ruby Amethyst. It is extremely fast for both of the Sapphire decks, so I wasn't too worried about those. Pretty much Steel Song and the Emerald Steel deck is what I think I was most afraid of, so just had to kind of work around that a little bit, which we can talk about too, because I mainly played Steel Song and another interesting song deck on Sunday, so really utilized Ursula for that. But yeah, I don't know. That's about... Is that all you wanted me to say?
You can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
I never know how much I should go into detail about these things. Here's the deal, too. I am very much like Ted Lasso, think like a goldfish, right? I generally can remember maybe what I played against for the most part, but I don't remember specific turns. I don't remember details like you do. For some reason, you have like this, when it comes to TCGs, you have this weird photographic memory where you can recall like 3 or 4 turns in a row. You can just say exactly what happened, and I'm just in awe of that. So
Yeah, this is the one thing I have a good memory for. I know every card, and every relevant card, I should say, in Lorcana, and I know thousands of Magic cards, but yeah, I can pretty much recall most of what happened in most of the games that I played.
yeah, there was actually, so for the top 4 match that you were watching of mine, we had talked about on the way home that there were quite a few misplays that I had done. And you were like, yeah, there was one turn where you did this, 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 and this, and you should have done that, and they did that. And I'm like, I don't even remember that. I don't even know. And I was the one that was playing it. So, yeah. Do you want to talk about your day?
Yeah, I pretty much, well, you beat me and pretty much knocked me out of top 8 contention.
That's
so
right,
that
we
was
did.
cool.
I forgot we played. I smoked you.
Yeah, that was in like the 3rd round, so you didn't really knock me out of top 8 contention, but I'm going to blame it on you anyway.
Wow.
I think I probably played the worst deck I've ever played at a competitive event for any TCG. Not that I've played like a ton, but man, my deck was bad. It was the Amber Ruby deck I was talking about last week, just trying to just in time Jim Hawkins and put the RLS Legacy or one of the other locations in play. Mm-hmm. The issue is that besides Jim Hawkins, that's the only good 5 cost character to really put into play. Like, I've seen lists and I was playing like the Queen of Hearts cards. Mm-hmm. What are they? The actual cards.
The card soldiers.
Yeah, the card soldiers.
I was very confused what you were asking me for a second.
And gosh, that is just not a very good card to put into play. Honestly, it just does not do enough. It doesn't put on enough pressure. It's
vanilla, right?
It's just a vanilla 2 questing character. And the other card I was playing was the Shift Queen of Hearts, and that's also just not powerful enough to put into play on turn 3 for a big impact.
Yeah. I feel like, okay, so for going back to the card soldiers, at first, I don't think we necessarily evaluated them to be that high, but then when you think about it more and almost put it into application, it has a decent sized body, doesn't get Medusa'd. What's the willpower? Is it just 5/5?
Yeah, it's a 5/5, so
okay.
it trades with Maui, it doesn't get Medusa, so it does have some things going for it, but
I feel like
just quests for 2, and it just does not, it's just not a powerful enough effect to just in time into. It's not enough tempo, it isn't really big enough to like impact the board a lot. It's just not worth the card disadvantage. Jim Hawkins and the RLS Legacy is really good to just in time, but if you're not putting in the RLS Legacy with him, the other locations are just kind of mid at best.
Yeah.
So like,
I feel like I kind of...
It's really good. Draws can do some really strong things, but every other draw is just so bad.
Yeah. Sorry for interrupting earlier, but I feel like all of the other locations in your deck are very easy to ignore.
Yes, they only lure for 1, and the abilities that they have like a decent amount of willpower, but they only lure for 1, so they just don't put on enough pressure. The RLS Legacy, there's just such a big difference between 1 and 2 lure a turn. So yeah, that deck was terrible. I tried to play Flynn and Sisu just so I can have another aggressive angle as well, but and Flynn into Jim Hawkins RLS Legacy is really good, but yeah, outside of those draws, the deck just felt so bad. Sometimes you just top deck just in time and you're wondering why you even came to the tournament. It was not a very enjoyable experience. I honestly just played it. I didn't really care if I like top eighted as long as I was enjoying the games I
Yeah.
was playing, but I wasn't enjoying the games I was playing, so I was just kind of miserable the whole day. Like, it just was not that much fun. If you didn't do the Rapunzel stuff or the Just in Time Jim Hawkins stuff, it just felt so bad.
Yeah. Like you're putting in work to do nothing.
Yeah, I was pretty down. So yeah, I went 2-3. By far the worst I ever done at that championship. So that was sad, but it was also just an unplayable deck.
Yeah.
So what about Sunday?
Yeah, let's move to Sunday. I got top 4 again.
Heck yeah, you did.
Yeah. It was a pretty good day. I feel like I went to game 3, and I could be wrong. Maybe I should look back, but I felt like I had to work harder on Sunday, and I played more game 3s than I recall.
Yeah, you almost didn't make it in the top 8.
Yeah, that's right. So there's definitely, whereas I almost didn't make it into top 8 on Sunday, but Saturday I went undefeated in Swiss and then ended up being the only undefeated person going into the 5th round. And then me and my opponent had intentionally drew, but I think they had a loss, whereas I was the only one that didn't have a loss up to that point. So did way better on Saturday than Sunday, but still pulled out a top 4 on Sunday. Got my second Ursula, and it felt really good. I feel like whenever I do well at tournaments, and for some reason I do well at the set champs in Swiss, then I wish I would perform better at the challenges, but larger pool of people, I guess. But I feel like I'm starting to get less and less imposter syndrome, where it's not just a fluke that I did well. I'm showing myself that I can consistently do pretty decent. Like, obviously I'm still not, I still don't have a mat. I'm still not winning tournaments or anything like that, or even getting second, but I'm at least achieving a higher status than I thought I would be at this point in time. So doing that consistently has helped with that imposter syndrome and has started to prove to myself that I'm learning and getting better. So I feel like you made a comment too, where you could tell that I was like thinking a lot during one turn, because I feel like now, so like before, when I would take too long on a turn, I truly did not know what to do. But now I know what my options are, but I have multiple ones. So I'm trying to think of all the different lines of play that it could take. Like, if that makes sense. Like, it sounds the same, but it's different in that sense. Before I was clueless. I'm like, I don't even know if this is good or not. But now it's like, this could be good if they do that, because they have this deck and they probably could play this on the next turn. Whereas this one could do, like, I'm starting to think more like that, So, but yeah, enough rambling about that. Instead of Wildcat, we swapped out the 2-drop Lumiere, and that actually proved to be a very good swap. I actually forgot to mention that I'm also playing Ray. I forgot to give a little shout out to that. He helped me secure a game or 2 on Saturday, so I'll give him a little shout out. But yeah, I took out Wildcat and added in Lumiere, and the thinking behind that was to help with the 1-drop Pegasus. If they were playing Diablo, then I can just have that Pegasus out and play Lumiere, and then now my Pegasus becomes a 2/1, and I can just trade easily with that. Also helps the Minnie Mouse, because I think Wildcat and Minnie were the same drop. One quest, Wildcat only quests for 1, whereas the Minnie does 2, but she's a 1/3 opposed to the 2/3 of Wildcat. Yes, I don't have the ability to banish items like I did with Wildcat, but I feel like against the item decks, this one goes so fast anyway. I don't need to control their items because I'm just out racing them. But it makes that Minnie the 2/3, so same body as the Wildcat, but I can also quest for 2. So I actually really liked that addition. Maybe I was just choosing the wrong time and place to play the Flynn Sisu, but I felt like I really didn't get that combo as much as I thought I was going to. I feel like the times where I'm like, okay, I have a shot at doing this based on what I think that they're playing. And then it turned out to where they just played something that is just the same strength and it just kind of nulled it. And then maybe, I don't know, it's just the Sisu, they didn't have enough in their hands. And so Sisu really didn't do much either. So yeah, I don't know. I got to play a little bit more against an Emerald Steel deck just normally during our practice week and got destroyed. So I feel like probably what most people feel like. If the Emerald Steel deck doesn't get Bucky, you actually have a shot. So that kind of rings true for this. But also played against a very similar deck I was playing right after Chicago and that I found was a lot of fun. And it was one of our friends playing an Emerald Amber deck with Under the Sea and Kita. And that deck's actually really fun and it can do some powerful things. We actually played twice. He schwacked me in Swiss, or earlier in Swiss. And then, oh no, we both made it top 8. And then we played first round. And then
he was the first seed.
Yep. Yeah, he was the first seed. We played top 8, played against each other. And I think we had to go to game 3, but I did eventually. No,
you just 2-0'd him.
Oh, sorry, Cody. But yeah, it got to the point I got up to 19 lore. I think he might have still been like single digits, but he just under the seed me like twice. And then every time I would play a character, he'd find a way to like bounce it back to my hand or put it underneath or, get rid of it. And so I was like right there and I was just stuck at four ink. But I was like drawing the Flynn, drawing the mini. And so I was getting those 2. And I was like, all I need to do is just wait till my next turn. And I can just quest and be done. And he was just finding the answers to it. And then finally I top decked a Goofy. So that's how I got that second game. But that deck is pretty fun to play. It was a little nerve-wracking to play against because it does make things a little closer. Another one of it's kind of cool, but we have our group that we test with during the week, and I think like 4 or 5 of us made top 8. Like you, me, and then 3 others from our group.
Yep, Tyler, Cody, and Wes.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool that we were all playing against each other, but another one of our friends played Steel Amethyst, and that just wrecked me. That one's very hard.
Yeah, he's been kind of crushing it at the set championships. He's played in 3, got to the finals 3 times. Won twice. He conceded in this final just because he just won the second place match. He probably just wanted to go home.
Yeah.
He's been kind of crushing it. That deck's pretty sweet. He's the person that I lost to twice on Sunday. I scrapped the Amber Ruby deck.
Let's go into yours.
I scrapped the Amber Ruby deck, and I was like, I'm just going to play a generically good deck. So I played Ruby Amethyst. Of course, I stick with Ruby. And I played Wes first round, and he beat me pretty bad in 2 games. The second game, I definitely misplayed 1 turn, and that definitely cost me the game, but I think it's actually just a bad matchup. Whereas I'm playing Brawls, he is playing Let the Storm Rage On, which draws a card and is singable, so he can go up cards and up tempo, and he's playing better 2-drops than what I am. Of course, I'm playing Flynn Rider, but his 2-drop is Yin Sid, which draws a card a lot of the time, and it quest for 3 by itself non-zero number of times. In fact, he had 2 or 3 on the board at one point in this 3rd game in the top 8 and just quested for 9 or something. I don't know. It was very
fast.
Nice.
It's a fast deck.
Yeah. And then he's also playing Robin Hoods, which are just a really good card, and the fact that you can shift and sing Along Came Zeus is just a really strong tempo play as well. So the decks are pretty similar in theory, just a lot of the Amethyst card advantage, and then you're playing red for the removal or steel for the removal, and his is just better tempo, so he can get out ahead of me and then stay ahead, and it's it's just really hard to keep up, especially when you're on the draw. So yeah, I don't think that was a good matchup. So I was kind of unfortunate to play him in the first round of the top 8, but that happens sometimes. I did like playing Ruby Amethyst again. That felt pretty good. I beat 2 different Bucky decks, which I did not expect, just because that's supposed to be a pretty bad matchup, but I beat it twice. I mean, the first one I beat, the person just didn't find a Bucky in game 2 or 3, and I just won very easily. You know how it goes.
Right.
So, and that dude actually ended up getting second, so he was a pretty good player. But yeah, I played a good deck. I had a lot more fun. I was missing 2 Mauis.
Because I was using them.
Because she was using them. So I tried to play Super Goof in this deck, and that card...
Oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, that card is probably good in your deck, but it is just terrible. Absolutely terrible as replacement for Maui.
It's good when I need it, otherwise
it's bad. It's good at getting like the last 2 lore you need, but other than that, it just doesn't have a big enough impact on the board because it doesn't trade with enough characters.
Yeah.
That's why it needs like a 3rd strength or something.
That's why I like Lumiere. It works well with Lumiere for that too. It does work well with
Lumiere for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a much better experience on that. Still without an Ursula though, so that makes me sad. But plan on getting one this weekend though.
Yeah, hopefully. For sure. And we'll talk about that in a second, but we forgot to talk about 2 decks that we played against for both days. We also had friends that went where their son came, their teenage, I don't even know if he's like preteen maybe, came for the first time to a Lorcana tournament and top 8'd both times.
He did. He top 8'd both tournaments.
And his very first competitive outing for Lorcana. And I was like, I hope the hook gotcha. But playing a very spicy deck, Amber Sapphire, did not expect that. And I think a lot of people didn't expect it either. And then you just don't know how to play it. But it is way faster than mine. Mainly doing ward characters, bodyguard characters, and high questing characters. So the thing that if you don't stop it early on, just gonna run away with it is the piglets. And he was also playing Wendy Darling that quests for 2. And so he had 2 piglets, Wendy, and then a bodyguard out. And the 2 piglets and Wendy itself, they quest for 8. And so he just did that twice and up to 16. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, that's way too fast for me to come back from. So, yeah, that one was pretty good. I had beat him on Saturday in the top 8, but I lost to him on Sunday. He got me in 2.
He got the revenge on you.
Yeah, he got the revenge.
Yeah, then I drew with him into top 8, so that was cool.
Yeah.
He was very excited.
Interesting. Yeah, very interesting deck. Really proud of him. I mean, it's pretty cool not going to any tournaments before and top 8ing your first 2. So, proud of him. But very spicy deck. Very intriguing. So, maybe something to explore in our off time for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But going into this weekend, like you said, we have 2 coming up. It's going to be our last 2. And what are you thinking you're going to bring?
So I'm between 2 decks. I'm between Steel Song because I just kind of want to play it and experience it because I have not played very much of it. We play tested with some friends, our group on Wednesday, and I really didn't like my list. It was the 2nd place list from Dallas Fort Worth. It was like one of those things where like the games that I won, it felt like I won very easily, but then the games I lost, I'm wondering why I'm playing some of these cards in my deck.
Why?
Blue. Just an unequal 3 cost that has bodyguard. It's a 0/3. Whenever it's banished, you gain 2 lore. Like, I get it. It's just a 3 cost character that can provide some reach, and it protects your early singers. So I get the idea behind it, and was it World's Greatest Criminal Mind, I think, is the 3-drop song that banishes a character 5 strength or more.
Yeah, you did that to my Maui.
Yeah,
that was
I did.
rude.
But the deck was just playing a bunch of those, and it's probably just because I didn't play against anyone that has characters with 5 strength or more in their deck, except for you with Maui.
And that's the only one.
Yeah, but that's the only one, and it just never had a target, so it was ink the whole time. I would have much rather had Strength of Raging Fire pretty much every time I played it, so yeah, I didn't really like my list that much, so if I do play that, I'm gonna play a completely different list. But what is more likely to happen is I'm just gonna go back to Ruby Sapphire.
The Old Faithful.
Old Faithful. I realize I didn't do super great in Dallas, but there are some changes that I've seen that I definitely want to explore myself. So, yeah, we're going to go for it.
And here's the deal, and I feel like we were talking about this with some people too, is that the decks that we're seeing at the set champs is, as far as ratios go of the different meta ones, it is different than what was at Dallas. And if we were to have gone to Texas, I would have brought Emerald Steel, because that's what I had played the last 2 challenges of different variations, obviously, but it is one of the most powerful, if not the most right now, and I'm comfortable with it. Like, of course I'm going to play that, but I am not at that tournament, and so I wanted to try to find a spicy deck just to see and just to catch me. Like, so I think that's almost like a theme that we're seeing in our set champs is surprisingly less Buckies. So less Bucky decks. And
it's not serious, so people are trying to do more fun things, I think.
Yeah. So, even though Ruby Sapphire wasn't super prominent in Dallas, you never know how it's going to do in these.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably prominent. It just didn't have a great conversion rate into day 2.
Yeah.
I think only 7 decks made it to day 2, whereas with Bucky,
like 30.
almost half the field was Bucky, which is a good thing. It got nerfed, because that would just be a miserable play experience, I think, just every tournament playing against Bucky in that amount. So yeah, I'm gonna try it, and I have some tech against like the one really bad matchup, which is Ruby Amethyst. So yeah, I'm excited to pick up the old Flavershams again. I'm excited to also, I'm not 100% certain on playing that, but because I was playing A Whole New World on Wednesday, and that card is just so much fun. It is so much fun just to wheel on turn 2, and then your opponent is just down so many resources, and yeah, it feels good.
Yeah, I bet. And that's something that, like you said, you haven't really played Steel Song before. I think I tried it for like one night, and I couldn't figure it out. So, it's something that we haven't explored yet, and I'm not using the Steel cards, so you're welcome.
Thank you.
If you decide to go that route. But if you decide to go the other run, I mean...
I'm going to need my Maui's back. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah, that's right. No, you can find it.
No, I actually have a split in the list that I've put together of Maui's and Hercules, so...
Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm. Gotta kill those queens' castles,
Yeah.
Gotta kill them.
That'll be interesting. Yeah, for sure. Any other things that are a little bit different than the typical list?
Yeah, playing some of the Ruby Pegasus.
Yeah.
So it's an okay answer to Diablo, just in the sense that it trades with it.
Yeah.
But it also does stop the Ruby Flynn from gaining a bunch of lore from turn 2 on. So I think that's a good choice to play.
And that's something too because what's the cost of that?
2.
The Pegasus? Yeah. And that's something that I feel like that deck, the Ruby Sapphire one, struggles with is an early game. Mm-hmm. And so that actually it's pretty good idea for you to have something to play on turn 2.
Yep, besides one jump ahead, I think it's just the next best card.
Well, so theoretically, if you had both in your hand, I mean, would you wait till the next one and then sing with it?
I mean, it just depends what I'm playing against and what the context of my hand looks like besides that.
Yeah, because I feel like old way of playing Sapphire, people would wait and sing with it unless they had nothing else. But I feel like more recent Sapphire decks, like they're just hard casting it on turn 2 and just moving on.
So. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's what I did all of Atlanta. Just played on turn 2 almost every game, and it led to a lot of wins. So, yeah. Of course.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But going into this weekend, I don't know. I think I'm just going to stick with what I got, and maybe...
It's done you well.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm going to switch anything up. Like I said, the Flynn Sisu combo didn't really go off as much as I thought it would, but then again, I've only played it in 2 tournaments, so I don't know if I have enough of a sample size to determine that, and unfortunately, without having Pixelborn, I'll never have enough of a sample size. Mm-hmm. So...
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good combination, but, like, Flynn, if you don't have Sisu, just isn't that great of a card in your deck. But I think Sisu is just a good card in pretty much every Ruby deck, so...
Yeah, it is. I'm still trying to find the right decks to play it against and the right time to do it on turn 3, because I feel like sometimes when I put it out, there's not enough in their hand for me to...
Well, on turn 3, it should usually have, like, 5 strength or whatever.
Well... I guess I'm really just going off of how it felt against the Emerald Steel, because even if I do that on turn 3, then if they do the whole shift Diablo on turn 2 and then discard, like, they're going down in card size, so I'm going down in size with that. So, yeah, it just... Like, it didn't feel good against that deck, I should say, but I probably need to find other ones where I can. I don't know. But if I'm playing, like, a song deck, like, I'm going to try to look for Ursula to play on turn 2, but I don't know. We'll see. But nonetheless, I think I'm going to stick with it because it's kind of fun. Not kind of. It's a lot of fun.
It's a sweet one.
Yeah, for sure. Shall we move into our starter deck now?
Yeah, absolutely.
We've been going back and forth about this and talking about it. Every set, we do enjoy doing the set review of the cards. We feel like that aspect is really important. It's kind of a toss-up for how we feel about these starter deck review and upgrades, because I think Ravensburger does a really good job about pretty much so far. Like, they try to find color combos that maybe aren't necessarily paired yet. Obviously, the exception is going to be today's, although it is playing differently than what we typically see, and we'll get into that. But, you know, they do try to pair different color combos together that I think people aren't used to, and it does make things interesting, but the decks aren't really that great, and so it's not really, we feel like, impactful enough for us to really review a starter deck that no one's really going to be bringing to a competitive event, because as much as we like to talk about fun decks and stuff like that, the essence of our podcast is a competitive mindset. I mean, that's in our description, right? And so we want to talk about it in a competitive setting, and none of these are competitive. Mm-hmm. So unless there's like riots in the streets that we're going to get rid of it, we think this will probably be our last set that we'll do the starter deck review and upgrades for.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you said it well enough.
Oh, well, thank you. Moving into this one, though, like I said, it is 2 colors that we do see paired together, but maybe not necessarily with this game plan strategy, and that's Sapphire-Steel. So we did bring both starter decks when we went on vacation, and we played a couple games against each other, swapped decks, played a couple more games just to get the feel of how it played. And I think I liked this one more than the other, but it's kind of trying to do the hero package. So you want to kind of get into that and maybe what you thought?
Yeah, so I did like playing this one too. There's some sweet cards like Anna and Hercules and Philoctetes. Of course, I just named like the main raiders in the deck, but those are what the deck's kind of centered around, just the hero stuff. And like pretty much every character in the deck is a hero. There are a couple allies like Pascal or Ling, but yeah, the deck actually plays out really sweet. You can play Philoctetes, and then like every character you play for the rest of the game, you get a gain of lore, or your Anna lets your all of your characters gain extra lore, so ends up playing pretty quickly. And then it has like an item sub theme as well with the Imperial bow.
Yeah, that was actually kind of annoying. Like when I had the magical deck and you had this one, I did not like the things you had done with that bow to me.
Yeah, yeah, the bow seemed really good. Sorry, I guess it's not really a sub theme because that's like the only one, but the bows seem pretty good in these kinds of games. And the card that I really liked playing was Dig a Little Deeper. It is very reminiscent of a Magic card called Dig Through Time, where you look at the top 7, put 2 cards in your hand, and you can kind of just do it for 2 mana in Magic. This one you kind of just sing, so you get to do it for free. So it ends up being this really powerful card draw, especially when you find another Dig a Little Deeper with it. So you can find maybe your smashes if you need the removal spell. It helps you find your Annas or your Philoctetes, so you can start generating a lot more pressure. So this deck was a lot of fun. I like the way it played out. Yeah.
For sure. And one thing that it had too is that big Hercules, where the body of it was just something that the other starter deck didn't really have an answer to. And so that was quite annoying as well. I just felt like it had bigger body. Like, I don't know. I just felt like I had a harder time. But maybe I was trying to assume a different role with that one, and I was trying to kind of slow you down when I should just be pedal to the metal with that one. I don't know. But we'll talk about the other deck next week, obviously. But I felt like I couldn't keep up with yours.
Yeah, I mean, Hercules is like an extremely powerful card in a card pool limited to, decks like this where there's just not a lot of powerful things going on. It's huge, it quests for a lot, it has resist, so it's hard for your 2 and 3 cost characters to take it down. And it protects the most important characters in your deck, like Anna and Philoctetes. So it is an extremely powerful card in these decks.
Yeah, and I even forgot too, like the Mulan has a willpower of 6, Li Shang has a 5/5. I just felt like, and the Sisu 6/6. It was just, yeah, the power levels between the 2 decks were not equal, in my opinion.
Yeah, along with just having a lot of keywords, just straight stats can also be really powerful in a limited sense like this, just because it will usually take your opponent 2 or 3 cards to take out a 6/6. So you're getting an inherent card advantage just from your characters being bigger.
Right.
So that it's really powerful just to have some 6/6s in your deck.
Yeah, for sure. Now, obviously, if you're going to be playing this color combo, it's going to look entirely different because we actually do have this kind of deck in the meta right now, and it does not do the whole hero package. So if you're going to bring these colors to a tournament, obviously your deck will probably look a little bit more closer to the one that we just see all the time. But what we thought to do is take the hero package for this deck and still kind of run with it and just try to make it as competitive as possible with that archetype, I guess you should say. But you want to kind of talk about some things that you were thinking to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'd probably max out on cards like Philoctetes and Anna just because those are your hero payoffs, right? They're the reason to do this whole hero thing. But you also get access to really strong cards like the Shift Robin Hood and Sad Beast.
Yeah, this deck's playing the Little Robin Hood anyway, so just having that shift target isn't that hard of a stretch to have. So
yeah, absolutely. I think you could play like the 5-cost Aurora and a couple of these other shift cards in these colors, and then play some of the more powerful removal spells like Along Came Zeus and Let the Storm Rage On. And along with that, you could, since you're playing so many more shift characters that are heroes, you could even probably play a Whole New World because that'll help you find the cards your deck is built around, Philoctetes and Anna. So that's kind of where I go with it. It's possible that if you're going to do that, you might want a secondary card advantage engine, which could just be like Flaversham and Popsicle, but if you don't want to do that, then I would still probably play... I might still play those anyway just because they're so good by themselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a whole new world, just being able to make sure you find multiple Philoctetes so you can just keep playing a bunch of one-cost heroes would be really good.
Yeah. Now, I'm just trying to think of powerful cards within these colors too. Do you think the Cogsworth has a place in that type of deck, the hero one, or no?
Yeah, I do. Just because he's kind of an annoying threat, and against other seal decks, he's like the best card you can play. So there's not a really high opportunity cost, just because in some situations he's just extremely good, and he's inkable, so you don't really lose out on it.
Are you doing one jump ahead?
Probably not doing one jump ahead. You just want to be more character focused and curve out more, I think. So probably not doing too much ramp stuff. Not going to play Fishbone Quill, even though we're playing the whole new worlds, just because you're just trying to put a bunch of characters on the board so your Anna has a bigger impact on the game.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know how much that you love building decks, and so I'm going to let you take this one and run with it. And if any of you who are listening are interested in seeing what maybe the full scope of that type of deck would look like, we will post the full list within the description of this episode, so you can go and find it and check it out and maybe try it out and let us know.
Yeah, I mean, it might not be the most competitive deck, but it could probably win some games and it would probably be fun.
Yeah, for sure. Might be one of those surprise ones that catches people off and they don't know what to do.
I probably wish I played this deck that I'm gonna build instead of the Jim Hawkins deck I did Saturday. So
That says a lot.
That says a lot.
Fair enough. Well, good deal. I think that wraps up our episode for this week. Next week, we will recount our experiences in the upcoming weekend of Set Champs, and then we will also do a very similar brief starter deck review of the Madrigal one that came from this set. So keep an eye out for that one. But in the meantime, if you are going to participate in any champs this weekend, pretty sure it's the last one, so good luck to you. Hope you get an Ursula or a Matt, whatever your goal is, even if it's just making top 8. I hope you get that goal. So
yeah, hope you guys have a great weekend full of a lot of good games and fun, and win those Ursulas.
For sure. Have a good weekend, everyone.